But anyway, down here in the bottom right, we have the chat favorite. It is ESC Goody. And the top left, our red Terran player taking down Night End 2-1. It is Healer. So Goody going for those early spotter depots. This could see a Reaper early depending on when it comes up. It is also just great to have later in the game, and you don't really need to do any sort of walling against Terran. You know, it's not like they have Adepts, it's not like they have Zerglings. And Healer is going for that one base double gas play. So we're likely to see the 1-1-1 coming up here. The big question is going to be what he does with it. But anytime you're going for that double gas on one base, you're going to be doing some sort of teching. Now Goody is getting that Marine first. And banking up a decent amount, so going for that CC on the high ground. I'm not going to try and place it at the natural, possibly a bit afraid of like Reapers. Okay, so I was wrong, not a 1-1-1. It is going to be a double Rax build. Oh wait, never mind. I was reading the wrong production tab because I'm terrible. So it is that 1-1-1. I was gonna say, like, you know, you're too late to go Mass Reaper. You're too late to go Mass Reaper. that's not the way this works. But yeah, it will be that 1-1-1. Goody going for the. Am I completely wrong? Was there not even a second Rax? Oh my god. Oh my god. I mean, it's okay, guys. I just recently got out of Bronze League, so I'm pretty qualified to be a caster. I just need to learn the names of the buildings sometime soon. And then I'll definitely be eligible for like doing IEMs and stuff. So Goody, nice position on the top of this ramp. Gonna try and focus down a Reaper. Reaper does get out with very low HP, but this Hellion will be able to focus it down. So nice control by Goody, dodging those mines as well. But he does get that one unit for literally free. You know, he loses some health on his units, and these Marines do not regen by themselves. You know, not without having a medevac out. So that could end up being impactful, but at the moment it is not. And Healer going for that Banshee play. Now Goody, he's got the tech lab on the factory, so he has the ability to make a Cyclone, but going for a tank first means that he's going to be a little more exposed to this Banshee than he would have been otherwise. Healer gonna poke in here, but there's a turret ready. Turret ready in the mineral line. At the very least, you should be able to pick off, like, you know, something. Oh, gotta be really careful though. Marines and this Viking did have vision for a bit. Scan goes down, but this should get out of there with very little HP. Oh, it went into turret range. It left the scan, but right into turret. So that is a shame. I mean, the Banshee does a bit of work, but not the type of damage you would want to see. Now, I suppose we are seeing some mech coming up out of Healer. We do have that second factory coming up. This barracks has just been making add-ons, so this is almost certainly going to be some mech play, especially now that we see this Blue Flame Hellion coming up. You know, the blue flame for your Hellions is possibly like the most impactful moment in a mech versus anything game. You know, it's like the equivalent of getting stim for your Marines. It just makes them that much more effective, and they don't even have to lose a bunch of health to make it to make it active. It's just always on, and it's just always good. Did Healer just pop out a Cyclone? Is that what I saw? Okay, there is a Cyclone here. So Cyclone will be very effective in dealing with things like drops, or if Goody happens to make a Banshee or something. Okay, we've got mech versus mech. I hope no one has stuff to do today, because this match might go long. It's been quite a while since I've seen any mech versus mech in Legacy, because you know we've been seeing more and more mech versus bio games, but not so many mech versus mech. Mech just hasn't reached that point of saturation where enough players are doing it. But Healer's going for a very interesting timing attack here. So we got Hellion, Banshee, Cyclone. Gonna try and get on top of these siege tanks with the Banshees, focusing them down. Vikings lift up again to deal with the Banshees, and then they're focusing the turret. That doesn't seem like okay. Yeah. But using the Banshees to do as much damage as possible here will lose both of them. But you know, this is a not unreasonable amount of damage to get with that type of push. Healer does lose all of those units, but shaves off a few SCVs and brings down the tank count quite a bit without losing actually any of his own. Not that he has many. He's actually been making Cyclones instead of tanks. This is a very interesting style. This is something that I gotta say I've never seen it before. This is like, you know, this is not something ripped off of like, you know, not ripped off the GSL or Pro League or anything. This is something very unique. So we've got like Hellion, Cyclone. Are Banshees still being produced? Yeah, Banshees are actually still being produced. Banshees are just being used as a fighting unit. This is so cool. We got the what is this even called? The lock-on, you know, the Cyclone upgrade. It's not called weapon refit. That's battle cruisers, right? It's like it's not advanced ballistics. That's liberators. I don't know. It's the Cyclone upgrade, but Goody going for a more traditional mech approach, getting his Vikings, his siege tanks. And if you give Goody the opportunity to go mech, like, Goody is one of the most experienced in the business of going mech. You know, he's like one of the OGs of mech. He's just done it so many times, he has so much experience, and he knows exactly what he's doing. But has he experienced this style? You know, because this kind of seems like it would require a pretty unique response. And I'm not quite sure how this works out, but I feel like Cyclones are not like terrible against siege tanks. They don't really clump. They have high range themselves. They do a lot of single target damage. Like, Cyclones could be a reasonable answer to mech. The one issue with them is that they'll be fairly difficult to control because of the lock-on cooldown. I suppose you'll want to like target each one on a different unit. I think that would be ideal, because if you lock on all of them on a single siege tank, then you just kill it and you can't lock on for like 30 seconds, right? So I suppose maybe you'd have to look at the numbers, right? You have to look at the breakpoints of when, like, do you, because if it takes like, if it takes like 3 Cyclones to 2 or 3 shot a tank, then there's no point putting the 4th one on, right? Because you don't hit another one of those breakpoints. Now, I imagine if Healer is playing this style, he knows that type of thing. He's just gonna lock on this CC. That is, wow. That is once again unexpected. So the Cyclone Harassment Force, and that wasn't cost effective, right? Cyclones are expensive. Cyclones are quite expensive, even with the reduction of their cost, increase of their supply. Like, Cyclones aren't cheap, but you know, slowing down the economy of a mech player is a huge deal, especially since you are temporarily denying these gases. Okay, the Cyclone Attack Force coming in, taking out a lot of stuff. These tanks aren't sieged, but it looks like they're doing well enough anyway. This is a little confusing, but yeah, the tanks are just a much better straight up fighting unit. It does get a lock on them, so it takes a few for free there. I think that was the issue with the last fight. The lock on really just wasn't used there. It was just a straight up fight. And, you know, you kind of need, I imagine the Cyclones here are kind of like, okay, lock on going down, but yeah, they just get demolished. Yeah, I imagine the Cyclones are kind of like, you know, how you use Blink Stalkers in PvT, where you just you try and get some chip damage while they're moving across the map, right? You use your lock on to take out 1 or 2 tanks for absolutely free, and then back up, do it again. You know, just use your increased mobility. Okay, Banshee to take down some of these siege tanks actually only gets 1. The Thor was there to help with the defense, and now we got the lock-ons coming in. Lock-on the tanks, able to clean this up. Ooh. Oh my god, those SCVs are lined up against Blue Flame Hellions. A lot of them could have went down. Only a few do. But that is economic advantage for Goody, and he's just continuing to pressure this point. Moving across. Is this gonna be for a planetary? Is Goody setting up for the long haul? A Healer is moving across the map over here, gonna try and put on some counter pressure. But without everything at home, he's not going to be able to stop this. Like, Goody is going to pressure this planetary, and couldn't even, you know, if he wanted, scoot these these Hellions around. Oh, this is a lot to the planetary, which wasn't repaired though. But Healer also grabs a CC. Now the question is going to be if Healer has enough to actually kill this siege tank force. The SCVs are pulled against siege tanks, which is not something you see every day, that's for sure. Okay, so this will be cleaned up because nothing can kill the Banshee. But it will do a lot of damage beforehand. So many SCVs going down there. Currently 31 to 49 in terms of worker count. Both of these players have taken a lot of economic damage through the game. Healer sniping, I believe that was like his, I guess just the second CC he sniped. So Healer moving out across the map again. Don't really want to engage this position though. These siege tanks will absolutely wreck this. Yep, that is 2 Cyclones dead for nothing. So, like we said in the last matchup, you get to a point where this ramp just doesn't exist anymore. Just take this part of the map out of the game, because there's no point trying to use it. Like, if you try and push up, like, it was bad enough that we saw, who was it? Mini Razor, I believe? Trying to push up with roaches. But when you try and push up into siege tanks, like, that just doesn't, no. No, you just can't. You just can't. You know, that's just what it ends up being. So Hellion Cyclone Harassment Squad gonna be coming across again. But this is just not gonna find any damage. Now, how many cyclones can fit in a medevac? Is it 2? I want to say it's 2. Because, you know, like, a straight-up engagement here, you're not going to be able to get in and do any damage. Goody has too good of a position on this 3 base defense. But, you know, if you drop 2 or 4 cyclones over here, lock on the CC, like, nothing's going to stop you from killing that. I've never seen a cyclone drop, but I imagine it's 2. I think you can fit 2 in there. Ooh, Hellion here gonna try and get some SCV damage. Does take 1 out, and that's all it's gonna get. Using that Cyclone lock-on as much as possible, just picking off a few units, trying to get them for free, losing a decent chunk of Hellions, although really Hellions are just the mineral dump in this type of style, so losing the Hellions isn't a huge deal, but it is impactful. Okay, so this is kind of one of those builds, right, where it's like every factory unit is being made here. We have Hellion, Cyclone, Hellbat, Thor, Siege Tank, with Banshee support. This is quite literally everything, including the kitchen sink. Ooh, Cyclones are here doing a lot of damage to the Hellions of Goody, so that's a nice bit of damage to get for free. And then gonna move across with the Hellbat, Siege Tank, Thor, Banshee force, and absolutely crush the Siege Tanks over here. So that's a decent bit of damage, taking quite a bit himself though. Scan does go down on the Banshees, but they just dodge scan range. Gonna take out 3 tanks, I believe. Yeah, we do get 3 tanks. And without those tanks, it's a lot more difficult to deal with this Cyclone force that's going to come around. Okay, 3 tanks still over here. Still going to do some damage. Oh my god. Oh. That could have been so much better. Although, Healer not expecting those tanks to still be there. You know, you do expect them to have repositioned to deal with the giant attack you just did. So, a bit of a misread, but a not unreasonable one. But at the same time, just walking down this side of the ramp really has no, like, it loses you a few seconds, but it has no real negative repercussions besides the fact that you don't take the risk of losing half your Cyclones for free. So we're at that point of the game where literally everything is being scanned, and it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be heard in your ears for the rest of the game. Now this is, I don't think this is how you want to take this engagement, but I suppose it's actually just going to work. Not going to bother sieging the tanks. Does take out pretty much everything for Goody. Now 1 tank left on the high ground, but it does just now unsiege. Cyclone Harassment Force is coming out again. Yeah, there are definitely enough siege tanks in position to invalidate this, though. So he's not really what you want to be going for. And healer needs to move these. Well, I suppose these tanks are they're just dead now, right? You can't retreat them. I guess you want to try and move up the ramp. See if you can get any damage done. Okay, so healer continuing to use this Hellion Cyclone style. Snipes that Widow Mine that's been such a pain for him. Looked like he was considering going down to do some harassment, but when you scan and you see that there are still 3 tanks over here, doesn't go for it. And he doesn't really need to, right? Healer has the economic advantage. Healer has extra bases. Healer has extra SCVs. And with those extra bases comes extra mules. Banshee does come in here to try and do some damage. Cyclone Lock-On should clean it up. Yep, does get out of there. And another base being floated. So the mobility of this Hellion Cyclone style is really really helping out healer with the economic lead. Now the issue is, once again, dealing with a straight-up attack. So healer's gonna have to try and keep Goody pushed back in the base still. And he's gonna have to make a tough choice here. You know, as Goody, do you pull back and defend, or do you just straight up go for it? And it looks like he's going for it. He knows that the army of healer is missing quite a few units that are on this harassment force. And he's just going to try and bust this with unsieged tanks. And he will be able to push through and take out... Actually, he won't take out everything. So yeah, really losing game 1 to healer, who used a very interesting Hellion Cyclone style. Got a message from Neuralisk in the chat saying that that this was a legacy beta style, and that Supernova said that Hellion Cyclone would be the new meta. Maybe it's gonna come back. Maybe it's gonna come back. You know, the Cyclone is one of those units that's gone through a lot of changes over the the past while. Whoops. Okay, I just need to fix something. Our player did not check in, which means that a whole bunch of people just got disqualified for no reason. Anyway, here we go. It is game 2. And down here in the bottom left, our red Terran player, healer. In the bottom right, our blue Terran player for ESC, Goody. So we'll see if they're both going to be playing mech again. That is the big question. Healer is once again going for this double gas on one base build. Likely again going to be that 1-1-1. It's just, you know, this is a very strong build in TVT because of the utility you get from having all of those production buildings up. What do we have coming up for Goody? He's also going for one of these double gas plays. I believe his gas was a little delayed as compared to healers, so maybe a slightly less gas intensive style, like maybe some sort of drop play instead of going for like banshees or cyclones, something like that. Early medevac out on the map. We shall see. Reactor coming down on the barracks. Barracks and there is that 111 with a tech lab on that factory. So we're going to be going for an early cyclone here, and then does Healer know about? No. Okay, Healer has no information. Healer just now scouting went to the wrong location, which means that he will not have any info of this 111 before it gets here. But the cyclone coming out will be absolutely huge in defending pretty much anything that can come out of this from Goody. You know, the cyclone it's just such a solid early game defense unit. You know, it's got the range to deal with things like banshees, medevacs. It kind of just does everything, but he's being aggressive with it. So he's not keeping it at home. I don't think you can actually do that. Yeah, I just, you know, Cyclones we found out in the last game are pretty decent, but you can't just take on a bunch of Marines with them. It's good at assassinating single large units as opposed to a lot of small ones. Whoa. So that's the Raven energy upgrade, right? I'm pretty sure that's Raven energy. So that is that's a thing. Okay, so this upgrade is going to be timed to finish with the first Raven that comes out, I believe. It looks like it'll finish just on time, so this Raven should have additional energy. Yeah, it looks like it will finish right on time. So the question is, what is he going to do with this additional energy? And will he be able to use it to defend against this push? Oh, that's beautiful timing. Okay, I actually don't know what this upgrade is because they changed all the upgrade symbols. So Raven gonna throw down a few auto turrets. Auto turret is here to defend, and this will be somewhat held. Goody still has a siege tank and a Viking left over with this very low health Marine. So the auto turret is here to clean this up. Healer is really doing some interesting builds here, that's for sure. So this is quite interesting. It's explosive. Whatever this upgrade is, it is explosive. And Healer's just doing things that you don't really see often. So yeah, we'll see how successful it is. Did lose did take a decent amount of damage there, but because his natural was established earlier, still does have that economic advantage just by like producing extra workers. using those auto turrets. Okay, so this is a very interesting style. The auto turret was changed in Legacy of the Void to be, you know, it doesn't last forever anymore, but it does do a lot more damage. So these auto turrets could actually do very well against siege tanks, right? Because it negates the effect of the siege by the fact that you can like throw it right next to them or throw it on top of other units to do that splash damage. So just gonna use that energy to pick off, you know, a few siege tanks and then get the hell out of there. And whenever you're trading energy for units, that's a great trade. You know, if you can trade a renewable resource for something that you will eventually mine out, then you will come out ahead in the long term. And once again, we have that Cyclone lock-on upgrade, the Mag Field Accelerator. Okay, yeah, with the Cyclone here, this Viking has no chance. Tries to take out a Raven, but doesn't quite get the damage needed. And now, okay, I thought that looked a bit too small to be a CC, so we got a Scouting Barracks coming out. Might just be taken out by the Cyclone and the Viking. But it looks like Healer actually wants to hide the position of the rest of his army, and ends up moving that out. Goody will have the Blue Flame upgrade quicker. So if Goody hits at a time where he does have the Blue Flame earlier than his opponent, oh, cool move here, taking out a bunch of free siege tanks. And now what is here to defend? Absolutely nothing. These plays, they're just going over my head. Healer. Oh my god.